each occasion we come around, as you all know, we feature an artist who tells us about his artwork and experiences in the art world. Today, as you all know, we are not going to stay away from doing what we have been doing. And my guest today is a ceramist who will be telling us quite a lot about ceramics. He is a product of Adeyemi University of Education. He is Mr. Peter Esan. And Mr. Esan, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
I was telling our viewers that you are a ceramist. But before we talk about all of that, we want to meet you. Who is Peter Esan?
Yeah, I'm a ceramist, product of Adeyemi Federal University of Education. State.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
You are a ceramist.
Yes.
I want you to tell us about ceramics. What is ceramics?
Ceramist is an artwork that we use clay to make a piece, a ceramic piece, which can mean pottery, vase, and plates. Okay. By molding together. It passes through a lot of process, but you start by sieving the clay then you have to make it ferment before we can use it to produce a ceramics. And in ceramics we have so many challenges, and there are some processes that we have to pass through before it can come through. Okay. So without taking the normal procedure, we won't be able to achieve a good ceramics work when firing.
You've talked about firing, you've talked about using clay to mold or produce. Yeah. Does that mean ceramics and sculpture are the same thing?
No.
What's the difference?
Ceramics, we will have to sieve the clay. We will have to remove the particles. There will be some particles in the clay. So, but sculpture, I don't think they do that because the outcome is different. I don't know about the sculpture, but in ceramics, we have to follow the process. We have a way of adding the clay together. We have so many methods of doing the pots. We have the throwing method and slab method using the pinching method. So that's how we make ceramics.
Okay. You also talked about the procedures. You said that to achieve a good product of ceramics, we pass through various processes. What are these processes, starting from the first?
Then the first process, that is, we have to soak the clay. When we get the clay, we have to soak it for maybe 5 days, depending the weather. Then we have to leave it for like 5 days, soak for 5 days. So after soaking the clay will have been soft, so that we'll be able to sieve out the clay. We use sieve. Then that's what we use to sieve. Then the particles, then we remove it from there. So after that, we have to leave the clay, so it will have to relax. Then the water, we have to remove the excess water from it. That's the first processing. Then after that, we have to wrap the clay to a cloth, such a way so that the water and there'll still be some excess water in it. That's the process that the clay will ferment. Without the clay fermenting, we won't be able to handle the clay because it will stain. To be okay.
Okay. So thank you very much. If I may ask you, why have you chosen to be a ceramist? Why are you a ceramist?
I enjoy doing it, so I like it. So
you enjoy doing it? Yeah. Okay. So what are the problems that you have or challenges while doing or practicing ceramics?
Well, the first one, maybe I get my clay, then I throw a cup or a jug, anything. Then maybe when firing, that's the major problem we do face in ceramics. When firing, the cup pieces to break at the place of firing. So that's the main challenges in ceramics.
You made mention of one word. You said throw or throwing. What exactly do you mean by that? Please explain that to us.
That's the process of when we get our clay, we use the throwing wheel. We have a throwing wheel. It may be manual or electric wheel. So the process, we have to use our hand. There's a way we do it. That's the method of throwing. We have different, there's throwing with, we have the one we can use slap down, we use our hand. Okay. That's the bare hand.
And how do you fire your works?
We have the machine we use to fire it. We have the king.
Okay.
That's how we fire the work.
Okay, now from here, how much appreciation does the society show? How much knowledge does the society have about ceramics? Or is it only about making pots, making cups and all of that?
No, ceramics, we have some creative stuff we can also do with it.
Like?
We can just try and form, maybe we can create an animal or maybe an abstract figure with it. So we can also do a lot of stuff with our ceramics.
Okay. Now, you must have passed through quite a lot of challenges in doing this. If I may ask you, from your experience, what advice would you give to those coming behind you or the general public? What advice can you give?
In ceramics?
Yes.
That is, we have to follow the process. There is no shortcut in doing ceramics. So we are trying to make a shortcut to end up, you start from the beginning.
So that's the major point you want to bring out of your experience.
Yes,
there is no shortcut to ceramics. Otherwise, you may end up starting again from the beginning. Thank you very much, Mr. Esan, for telling us all of that. And viewer, thank you very much for watching us. For some time, you've been watching and listening to a ceramist, Mr. Peter Esan, who has been telling us quite a lot about his trade. You may not understand much of what he has said, but by the time we see the exhibition of some of these ceramic wares, you would have a better insight into all that he has been saying. Don't go away and please come along with us. Welcome back. You are still watching Artmosphere, your TV art program, where we've been talking all along about ceramics. My guest, Mr. Peter Esan, is still very much around. He's been telling us about his vocation of ceramics, but he has more to tell us and he has quite a lot to show us. Mr. Peter Esan, once again, I welcome you. I can see produce here. They are all products of ceramics. You need to tell us about them. Let's start from the one that is closest to us. What can you say about this?
It's not as if maybe I plan to just produce out of.
Okay, how did you make it?
Okay. I made this with hand, with the process of slab method. That's how I produced this. And I used a throwing machine to throw the head.
You use the throwing machine?
Yeah, to throw the upper parts of the actress.
This is a very spacious room. Is there a throwing machine around here? I guess
there's a throwing machine here.
This is a throwing machine?
Yeah, you can see. This is a throwing machine.
Okay. That's very good.
It's a manual one.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we go back to our exhibition. So what do you call this? A vase?
Yes, it's a vase.
And I guess the same applies to this. Yes, so tell us about this. I can see the color here is very much different from this. Yes. How did you do that?
I sprayed it. I produced this for the school.
Okay.
The coursework.
Okay.
That's the reason why we're having the school part there.
Okay.
That's the
I can see that they are much different from this. What can you say about it?
This art piece. This one is produced with slip casting.
Okay.
There's a way we do this. We have to make a masterpiece of this.
Okay.
Using the raw clay. Then we have to use the plaster of Paris paper. Then we used to pick the shape, so we'll be able to produce more. That's why we have it's the same thing.
Okay.
Then we'll be able to produce more of the art piece, so it will be identical.
Right.
That's the reason why it's like this.
This looks familiar. It looks like something in every home.
Yeah.
Place. That looks like a toilet basin.
It's the basic.
Is that also
We used clay
to produce this?
Yes, sir.
So you can produce this as well.
Yes, sir.
In other words, ceramics is not all about plates and vases. You can also use it for that.
Yes, sir.
That's quite interesting. But I believe it is not yet finished.
Yes, it's not yet glazed.
Okay.
That's like this.
Okay. So let's come this way. Tell us about this. It looks more colorful. What can you say about this?
I produced this just to, I painted it, just beautify it.
Okay.
That's it is. Just put it for beautification.
Okay. What is it?
It's a vase.
Okay.
It was produced by the method of throwing weight.
Okay.
I used to throw weight to produce it. And it is used for, it can be placed on the table, center table, and we can also put flower to beautify our environment. So, and the color, just to make it more attractive.
That's quite interesting. And what about all of that? All of this? All of that. Tell us about them.
These are all vases. They are just small vases that can be used as same as this also. But this is produced with clip slip.
Okay.
That's why we have.
What do you mean by a clay slip?
This clay slip.
What is it?
And this method, we produce it by the clay to ferment, to be in slip.
Okay.
That is, it will be liquid.
Okay.
Then there is a mold that I created for this. There is a mold. Then I have to pour the slip into the mold. Then to pick the shape. Then there is a particular time that I have to leave for it to dry a little bit so that we'll be able to pick the shape well. Then I have to.
About how many hours do you need for it to get it?
Some minutes, maybe about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Depends the weather.
Okay. And what about that? Why is it different from the others? The brown one, you colored it brown?
No, that's the color of the clay. I didn't paint this.
Okay.
That is why it's like this. It's also a flower vase. I just used a normal polish.
All right. Tell us about others.
And this is a cup. And the saucer.
Saucer.
We can produce this by using the throwing machine. That's it. And we also have this flower vase also. I painted this green.
Okay.
It can also be used to decorate our table, so you can use it.
So what about this?
Yes, I produced this. When there was a mistake, then I had to make something out of the mistake. That's usually right like this. And I had to do it that way.
That's very good.
And also this. I tried to achieve maybe an abstract vase that will look different than the rest. That's why I had to do it this way. That's some shape.
It looks like a god.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean by that? For carrying palm wine. Of course, it's very much different from the others. What about these other ones too? They are vases different?
They are all vases.
Okay.
I have to make them look identical. They are all vases also can be used to.
If I may ask you, what you produce this by reproducing it? You initially made a model
piece, a model
that you now use to mass produce. What are you trying to depict with it?
I was trying to just make an abstract, an animal, not really an animal, just being an abstract animal. just for beautification, it can just be placed.
I would like us to come here. What can you say about this? This looks huge. It's 3.
This space. I produce this. It can be placed outside the compound. It can be placed to beautify the environment. I made this with hand. With the slab method, I used to produce this.
What can you say about the designs? I can see some designs, you know, drawings.
I'm trying to make it traditional. That's why it's a local pot.
Okay.
Just be.
And the next here.
It's like an it's assemblage. It's assembly. So that's why it's like this. Assemblage.
When you say assemblage, what do you mean by assemblage?
You can assemble it. You can place on each other.
Okay. Oh, the 3 of them. Yeah. Please, can you demonstrate that for us to see? That's quite interesting. That's why you call it an assemblage. 3 different pieces that could be mounted on one another in order to give just one idea. I really appreciate that. And if I may ask you, if you would be, if you were to give this a title, what title would you call it? If I may ask you.
I produced 5 of it. So I would like to call it the sitting of the elders.
Oh, the sitting of the elders, and you have decided to use an animal as a motif. I really appreciate that. That's what an artist does. The sitting of 5 elders, because they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I really appreciate this. And Mr. Peter Esan, thank you very much for being with us on this show. I want to believe that when next we come around, you will be able to tell us more about other works that you have produced. I can see that you have some other items in the background. Would you like to tell us about them? What are these? What's the relationship between them and Ceramist?
It's just part of my works.
Okay, just to adorn this. Thank you very much for coming. And viewer, thank you very much for watching us. For some time you've been watching and listening to my guest, Mr. Esan, who have been telling us about his artworks. And one of them is what he calls sitting of the 5 elders, because this is just 1 out of 5. He also talked about this project, 3 pieces in 1, if you may say, and he refers to it as an assembly. This is how far we can go on today's episode of Artmosphere, your TV art program. Join us same time next week for another colorful edition of it. Yomi Ogunye is my name. Thanks for watching and goodbye.